Welcome to Moviecaps. Today, I will show you a science fiction thriller from 2017, titled Black Hollow Cage. Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. A middle-aged man named Adam can be seen walking around in his house when a man in a mask starts following him. Soon, Adam feels his presence, but before he can turn around, the intruder attacks him with a baseball bat. A teenage girl, Alice, is being told about her new bionic arm that can be implanted to replace her impaired limb. The doctor intends to attach it, but she asks her father, Adam, to leave first, because she does not want him to see it. The doctor asks her to practice using this new hand, and try to pick up a few cylinders in front of her. She tries to do it, but angrily gives up just after her first fail, and refuses to do it again. After giving her some instructions about the hand, the doctor talks to Adam, who is concerned about its impact on Alice's psychology, but the doctor assures she will get used to it quite soon. After sharing her experience with Adam, Alice tells him about seeing her mom, who is actually a dog, but Alice thinks of her as her mother Beatrice. Beatrice is capable of communicating with Alice, with the help of an electronic translation device attached to her collar. The next day, Alice practices using her hand again, but gives up as usual. Adam encourages her to try again, but she refuses to do it, and gets into an argument with him as he insists. Alice takes Beatrice with her and goes out for a walk in the woods, where she spots a huge black metal box. She examines it closely, and it mysteriously responds to her touch, opening a window. Alice tries to have a look inside, but finds nothing except a note that reads, "They are not to be trusted." She comes home and thinks about the note, as it apparently seems to be in her own handwriting, and looks like it's been written by her future self, but Alice has no idea about it. Meanwhile, her father finds a badly injured girl, Erica, and her brother Paul, and brings them inside the house. After comforting them and offering them food, Alice and Adam talk to them, asking them to introduce themselves. Erica tells them about herself and Paul, who is a mute kid. After introducing himself, Alice and Beatrice, Adam asks her about who hurt her, and she tells him it's her boyfriend David. She also explains that David urged them to go out for a picnic, but then tortured and abused her in front of Paul. After seeing them disturbed, Adam offers them to spend the night at the house, and assures them it's entirely safe, as the locks cannot be opened from the outside. In her room, Erica gets worried about Paul, and assures him things will get better soon, and distracts him by asking about Alice, whom he apparently liked in their first interaction. Beatrice comes over to the room, and Erica asks about Alice's arm, but she does not answer, and leaves after telling Erica that she is wearing her former dress. After coming out of the room, Beatrice talks to her about the new guests, and shares her concern about them, to which Alice agrees with her, as she does not like them either. Beatrice spots someone outside, and after showing it to Alice, asks her to go inform Adam, because he is the only one who can protect them. Adam collects a knife from the kitchen and comes over to have a look, but they can't find anything this time. As they look outside, Erica shows up asking what it is, but Adam asks her to go back to her bedroom as there is nothing serious. The next day, when Adam sets her arm, Alice reveals knowing about his feelings for Erica. She asks him to convince her and Paul to stay longer. Later, when she tries to hold cylinders again and gets disappointed, Paul stops her from leaving, and helps her in her practice. She gets distressed for failing again, but Paul embraces her, to assure his support, and Alice accepts him this time. While being with Paul, she gets suspicious about Erica, and starts looking for her, but finds her with her father. Alice gets upset and leaves the room while crying. Adam tries to talk to her, but she yells at him for being close with Erica, in front of her mom Beatrice, but he tells her she is not her mother. Alice does not believe him, and argues with him saying Beatrice is her mother, but he transformed her. She also accuses him of being responsible for her impaired arm, and once again insists that Beatrice is her mother. He gets angry with her, and reveals he killed her mother. He apologizes to her asking for her forgiveness, but she refuses to do it, and urges him to apologize to Beatrice. He refuses to do it, and Alice furiously leaves the room while being upset with him. She once again goes outside along with Beatrice, while Paul watches them leaving the house. They arrive in front of the black box, where Alice finds a memory card with a note that asks her to listen to the audio file while using headphones, at exactly 4 o'clock. After coming back to the house, Alice talks about the file with Beatrice, who warns her it can be a trap, but Alice tells her that she knows it's her future self. Alice tells her she will listen to the audio, to find answers about the box and its works. She believes the audio will help her fix things in her life. When the clock hits 4, she turns on the audio, and hears her own voice, which asks her to get up and be prepared for what's coming next. Alice gets a little nervous, but does as she asks her to do. The recording also asks her to be careful, and not let anyone know about it. Alice asks how the cube works, but realizes it's a one-sided communication, that asks her to tell Adam that she saw David outside, and make him go outside to check. She further advises her not to let him call the police, because apparently it always goes wrong when he does it. She asks her to hurry, and leave Beatrice behind, because things will be easier that way. Alice locks her door, and comes over to her dad, telling him that she saw someone outside. He gets up to call the police, but she stops him, by saying Erica told her she did not want to involve them, because it's not good for Paul. Adam agrees with her, and asks her to go to Erica and Paul, while he goes out to check. Alice asks him to be careful, while the voice urges her to go to the kitchen and look for Paul. She finds him there, and offers to make a sandwich for him, asking him to wait for a while. Soon, the recording asks Alice to kill Paul before Erica arrives, otherwise, the consequences will be disastrous. She gets shocked to hear it, but the voice insists on killing him as well as Erica, because it's the only way to stop what is about to happen next. He finds her struggling with opening the packet, and gets up to help her, but she stops him by saying she will manage it by herself. Meanwhile, the voice once again encourages her to kill Paul and Erica, otherwise, something terrible will happen. Alice intends to do it, but Paul distracts her by kissing her, and she places the knife back on the table. Erica arrives, and asks what is she listening to. Alice changes the subject, and offers her a sandwich, but she refuses to take it. After failing to comply with the instructions from the audio files, Alice furiously leaves the kitchen, as she still cannot figure it out. At night, as everyone gets ready to sleep, Erica asks Paul to go open the door. He agrees to do it, but Beatrice does not let him do it, so Erica takes her aside and kills her. Paul opens the door this time, and lets a stranger come inside. Meanwhile, Erica undresses, and goes to Adam's room to lure him out. He starts following her, but the stranger with the mask attacks him, and slits his throat, and they all run away. Alice wakes up in the middle of the night, and gets devastated to find both Adam and Beatrice murdered in cold blood, but cannot do anything except crying for her loss. After waking up the next day, she remembers the horrific night, and rushes outside the house to go in front of the box. Desperate for help, she keeps on banging on its walls, but nothing happens this time. As she cries out of distress, the box suddenly opens, creating a large space, and she gets inside before it closes again. Alice finds herself back in time, and spots David beating and abusing Erica, while Paul sits there placing his hands over his ears. She records their video to use as proof. A few hours later, she looks toward the house, and finds herself talking to her father about seeing someone out in the bushes. She comes inside the house, and finds Alice from the past coming out of her room. She uses her phone to send a message to Beatrice's device, asking Alice to come back inside. After that, Alice, who is now in a light blue dress, depicting she is different from the one who went inside the room, covers her face, and meets Alice from the present, introducing her with the help of her arm. She asks her to go back, while she goes to her father, telling him about seeing David in the woods. Then, she goes to the kitchen, offering a sandwich to Paul, but this time calls him for help. When he comes near her, she stabs him this time. Soon, Erica shows up, and after hysterically laughing at her, stabs her and leaves the house. Meanwhile, Adam returns, and gets worried to see the door open. He rushes inside, and finds Paul and Alice's dead bodies. As he sits there mourning her death, Alice shows up from her room, and takes him with her to explain. After playing the audio for him, she tells him about the mysterious black box, and says it works like her arm, and one has to think about the time he wants to go. She tells him it works like a time machine, that can transport her in different timelines. She takes him to the box, and both get inside this time. The intruder with the mask kills Adam, and attacks Alice. Then, he goes to Erica and Paul's room, and removes his mask revealing he is Adam himself. Soon after, David shows up at the house, asking about Erica and Paul. Adam assures him that they are fine, but David suddenly starts accusing him of killing his parents, and says he won't be able to see them again, just because of him. As he talks to Adam, Alice shows up from behind, and stabs him in the head. She also accuses Adam of killing her parents, and says they need to go back in time, to prevent all this from happening. Adam asks whether she knows where she has to go, and she tells him it's 7 months 12 days. She has to go back to this time, to prevent him from getting his car keys, because they got into a disastrous car crash on that day, that killed Beatrice, and David's parents, and left her impaired. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this.